Now in this video, I'm going to be answering all of your questions surrounding the fourth stimulus check, your unemployment benefits, as well as a $200 monthly increase in Social Security payments. So you guys want to be sure to stay until the end of this video to find out the latest news surrounding stimulus checks. So, first things first, a majority of Americans are now favoring recurring payments.
We're going to be putting hundreds of thousands of people to work, including plumbers, pipe fitters, electrical workers, steel workers, so many other union workers, modernizing roads, bridges, water systems, broadband systems.
Are now favoring recurring stimulus checks. According to multiple sources, nearly 2/3 of all voters support $2,000 monthly payments to all Americans for the length of the crisis. Supporters include a majority of independents and Republicans. Now that's interesting to me, folks. The American people are asking Congress to send out more checks. However, whether it be the Democrats or the Republicans, many of our politicians are holding back our stimulus check. Which party, everybody, is holding back the stimulus money? Tell me who you think is to blame in the comments below.
Doing everything we can to lift up our HBCUs, but to know that if we are to invest in the strength of our nation, we must invest in our HBCUs.
And another source estimates that another stimulus payment could reduce poverty by at least 6.4% in 2021. And many economists are on board with this.
And when it was developed, 50% of seniors lived in poverty. Today, poverty among seniors is too high, but that number is 10%. Social Security has done exactly what it was designed to do. Think about this. For 75 years,
Gavin Newsom also signed a new budget into law back in July, which includes a stimulus check for about 2/3 of the state residents. This was all part of the $100 billion California comeback plan. Everybody, even though President Biden and the previous president did send out $1,400 checks, I believe that our own state governors should do the same thing as Governor Gavin Newsom and send out their own state stimulus. If you guys agree with me, tell me in the comments below.
I think what you saw is millions of people standing up, grassroots activists standing up and saying, you know what? At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, maybe, and Chuck, this is a radical idea.
To make things clear, the Biden administration is not against a fourth round of payments, everybody, but the president does recognize their high price tag. He also has other priorities, specifically infrastructure and help for families. The White House press secretary told reporters that President Biden is happy to hear from a range of ideas on what will be the most effective and what's most important to the economy moving forward. Now, relief payments were intended to ease the crisis impact and support the economy in the process. Now, since the American Rescue Plan was passed and approved, about 170 million people have received a $1,400 stimulus check. Have you folks received your $1,400 stimulus checks? Tell me in the comments below, everybody. In the second quarter of 2021, the US economy grew at an annualized rate of 6.5%. And many people are saying that the economy is recovering in a good way. Let's not forget the American Families Plan, which was the third stimulus bill, was focused on child care, education, and much more. The Democrats are now pushing forward for another $3.5 trillion budget blueprint. This is, folks, the fourth stimulus bill. And this fourth stimulus check might not be approved if President Biden does not get the job done. The Democrats' extended plan is more likely to home a fourth stimulus check than a traditional infrastructure.
The next stop is dealing with the ability to pass the rest of my Build Back Better agenda. Once-in-a-generation investments in our people, making housing more affordable, bringing down the cost of prescription drugs by giving Medicare.
But Joe Manchin of West Virginia is among the most centrist Democratic senator. He has warned against or refusing reconciliation. He is also apparently unwilling to do away with the filibuster, which would lower the number of votes needed to pass legislation to 51. Meanwhile, everybody, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the progressive members in Congress, is now threatening to tank a bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is crucial to President Biden's agenda if moderate Democrats manage to decouple it from a sweeping $3.5 trillion tax and spending bill. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, "Nothing would give me more pleasure than to tank a billionaire dark money infrastructure bill if they come after our child care and climate priorities." Now in the House, everybody, Nancy Pelosi has just three seats to spare. It is possible the progressive lawmakers could torpedo the bipartisan deal if it's not tethered to a larger reconciliation package.
So,
Good afternoon, everybody. It is good to be here at Hampton University, better known as the home of the city. We are pleased to be here today. The Vice President has just completed a tour to hear and see the breadth and depth of the education that students at Hampton University are receiving and the facilities that you all have. This week marks National HBCU for the Biden-Harris administration. And it really has been an opportunity to talk about the importance of historically black colleges and universities in this nation. It is not by happenstance, but by design that we are at Hampton. This institution supports cutting-edge STEM research, and is the perfect place to highlight the administration's proposal to invest in HBCU R&D infrastructure and to train the next generation of STEM professionals, which these amazing students are. As chair of the National Space Council, the Vice President has been focused on this work, and your work is important not only for what you do here every day, but what it will mean in the future around the country. So this is really an exciting time, and it is also important because this is the first Vice President, as you all know, to be a graduate of an historically black college and university. So this is a seminal moment all around, and I know we will have a wonderful conversation. So with that, as always, it is a pleasure to Vice President.
thank you, Ben. Honored to be here at Hampton University with all of you. I want to thank the president, Dr. William Harvey, who warmly greeted us on our arrival. Congresswoman Luria, thank you for your leadership for Hampton, for HBCUs, for Virginia. Mayor, thank you for the warm welcome as well, and for all the work that you have done. I also want to thank Chairman Bobby Scott, the congressman who represents Virginia. He is a huge supporter of our HBCUs, and actually is in a committee hearing, I believe, advocating for the infrastructure bill that we are proposing, and that includes a significant contribution that we intend to make to our HBCUs around infrastructure as well as research. I believe we are at the beginning of a new era. I believe that we, in this new era, are more interconnected and interdependent than ever before, as highlighted by the things that you, as our nation's young leaders, have witnessed in just this last year and a half. We've seen a pandemic, which has really emphasized the significance of our mutual investment in the issue of global health. We have seen cyber attacks, which tell us the role and the use of technology, not only for good as we know it in our